Chapter 10. Smothered. Jake awakens with no idea how long he's been unconscious. A fearful panic seizes him, with the knowledge that Claire could already be dead because of his delay. It's still dark outside, giving the teen minor comfort that he could not have been out all night. "Do you sense anything?" Jake asks, a sickening feeling in his stomach. Yamura scans the area, but no significant presences are found. This troubles Jake even more. "Our only path forward is to go to Hui's stronghold and destroy his cult. It may be possible the girl is alive until the ritual is complete." Jake cuts his other side off. "But it isn't likely. Yeah, I know. It does not benefit Hui to keep her alive. Every minute that Claire lives increases the chances for her escape. To minimize the danger she poses to his operation, Hui would want her sacrificed as quickly as possible." Already prying open a manhole cover, Jake does not wish to waste any more time. Each and every second is crucial, and the teen is in a race against time. Dropping down into the sewer system of Brighton, Jake is overwhelmed by a sudden, horrific smell. He forces himself to swallow down the bile rising in his throat to prevent vomiting and continues into the sewer tunnels. Navigating the labyrinthine underground, he eventually moves out into a dry tunnel system whose original purpose has long been forgotten. Rats the size of small cats hide in the shadows, tracking Jake with frightening black eyes. As the teen moves deeper within the tunnels, the only rats to be found are all dead. The bodies of the rodents are dried husks, drained of every bit of moisture and life. Nothing living remains in this area, and an invisible boundary is signaled by a chill in the air and a complete lack of any moisture whatsoever. Jake hears noises in the darkness like the skittering of enormous spiders, but his eyes cannot discern their location. The hairs on the teen's arms raise. A rush of unnatural fear moves throughout his body. Were he not completely focused on saving Claire, self-preservation would urge him to leave this place at once. "There are creatures down here with us," Jake whispers, looking around nervously as he continues to walk. "I've never sensed anything like them before. It's like raw malice and hunger all rolled into one." Yamura shakes his head. "Nor have I. To me, this presence almost feels as if it's not alive, yet somehow is. Very peculiar." All light eventually fades and the tunnels ahead grow completely black. The sounds of the creatures in the darkness now begin to come from all directions, following the teen cautiously. "Continue forward," Yamura says. "We are going in the right direction. I'm starting to sense the faint energy of my own kind. It must be Hui's energy I sense." "I can't see a thing. We could fall into a shaft and be lost forever. We need some light down here." The teen is hit by a flood of nausea, causing him to stumble and brace his hand against the nearest wall to keep from falling. The sensation of a crushing weight upon his chest brings Jake to a knee. Dozens of red eyes stare into his own, and Jake is filled with terror. "What the hell is that?" Jake thinks, fighting back against the invisible forces trying to hold him down. The Revenant pounces, catching Jake in the chest and sending the two of them rolling across the ground. Managing to kick the creature off with its own momentum, Jake scrambles away and tries to regain his bearings. The creature recovers quickly, flipping over onto its spider-like legs and skittering back towards the teen. Jake is at a severe disadvantage in the darkness, unable to see in the pitch-black surroundings. In the far distance, a light becomes visible, and Jake makes a desperate run, hoping to outpace the creatures of the shadows. Hartnell Family Medical. Storm drops down from the ceiling behind two whitecoats, disabling both of them with electrified chops to the backs of their necks. Peril follows suit, dropping onto the already downed guards and stomping onto their throats. "That wasn't necessary," Storm growls. His brother's cruelty is unnerving, even to him. Peril grins. "You came to me for help. If you disapprove of my methods, save Virtual yourself." Storm doesn't argue anymore, seeing it best to concede this one, as Peril's aid truly is a necessity. The forces of the hospital are powerful, and alone he would not be able to rescue Brian. This medical office is associated with the hospital by having enhanced fighters on patrol. Maybe some of them fled here, with Brian as their captive. They reach an observation room where they find two teens hooked up to various equipment, where their blood is being drawn and analyzed by automated machines. A whitecoat monitoring the readouts turns to face the intruders but collapses with blood oozing from his ears and eyes, exploding outward with a sickening pop. Peril lowers his hand. "I don't want to hear it," the boy growls. "Get those two down so we can move on. If they're conducting experiments like this here, the Virtual may be here." Storm releases the first teen, but he's too weak to stand on his own. "Come on, buddy, we're getting you out of here." Peril rolls his eyes, annoyed by Storm's compassion. "Do you need a minute with your boyfriend, or can we leave?" The hall becomes filled with Sakati assassins and enhanced hospital staff. Peril grins, his bloodlust setting in. Skills manifest on his exposed skin as his parasite agitates. "I'll handle these pests. You take those weaklings outside," Peril says, cracking his knuckles in anticipation of battle. Storm nods, hurrying with the two injured teens in the opposite direction. As they near the stairwell, one of the doctor's GX-enhanced operatives appears to block their path forward. "You aren't taking them anywhere," King Cobra says. "Because of you, we're kind of running low on staff." The man immediately activates his parasite, and his muscles swell to several times their normal size. King Cobra's eyes become yellow and his pupils change to thin black slits. Long fangs extend from the man's upper jaw. A long, fleshy tail grows from his lower back and slams impatiently on the floor, shattering tile. As his name would imply, a flap of leathery flesh appears behind his head like a hood. "There are more people," one of the teens says, weakly. "4 of us were taken from my car." Storm glances back, seeing Peril struggling against over a dozen skilled opponents. "We can't go back right now." "We can't leave them," the teen pleads. "They're my friends." Storm curses under his breath. "Damn it!" King Cobra rushes them, striking Storm with a hard right. Using electricity to form a cushion between his enemy and himself, Storm cancels out the brunt of the impact and manages to throw the larger warrior against the hallway wall. "Hurry!" Storm shouts, pulling the teens along as King Cobra quickly shakes off his disorientation. Peril pants heavily with exhaustion. A Sakati assassin drops to his knees in front of the boy, blood running from his orifices. The bodies of nearly a dozen fighters are strewn about the hall. "Impressive," a female voice says from an adjacent hall. "Your psychic powers are pretty well developed." "Care to experience my power firsthand?" Peril growls, still breathing heavily. The GX fighter, known as Whisper, chuckles lightly. "We both know you are exhausted. I am in no danger." "Psychic," Peril has stopped, his voice disappearing. "Shh," Whisper smiles, holding a finger up to her lips. "There's too much power in words." Storm discovers not only is his voice silenced, the parasite within his bloodstream has also grown quiet and unresponsive. "We heard all about the mess you and your friends made at the hospital," Whisper says. "If you harmed the doctor, the amount of tortures you're going to experience will be unimaginable." Whisper is suddenly sent crashing through a wall by a hard kick. For someone named Whisper, you sure do talk a lot, Flex mocks. If it isn't the traitor, Whisper growls, rubbing her jaw. Blood oozes from the left corner of her mouth. Already joining your new friends on their holy crusade? Better than the kidnapping and murder you do to pass the time. Whisper shrugs. It pays the bills. Flex lunges, hitting Whisper in the face with an enlarged fist, and sending her back through the wall again. Hope it pays well enough to cover that bill. With King Cobra in pursuit, Storm is again stopped by enemy forces ahead. A team of 5 Sakati assassins is headed by a GX-enhanced warrior, codenamed Sakanade. One of the injured teens pushes away from Storm and grabs his companion in a chokehold. Mike, what are you doing? The other teen coughs, too weak to extract himself from his friend's grip. Sakanade smiles with satisfaction, wiggling her fingers like a puppeteer. What are you doing to him? Storm shouts. Just having a little fun with our experiments, Sakanade says. Don't you remember the joys of that? Storm balls his fists in anger. Release him from whatever trick you're using to control him. Mike shakes, unable to control his own body. She's in my head, he shouts in pain. Storm lunges to help the team, but finds himself moving in the opposite direction. What the hell? Storm shouts, wondering about the nature of the woman's strange powers. I can see the confusion on your face, Sakanade says with a laugh. I bet you're wondering what exactly is happening. But if I gave away all my secrets, what fun would that be? Hurting people isn't fun. You have something wrong with you. Sakanade shrugs. Probably. Can't do anything about that now, can we? Storm again tries to run down the hall, this time guessing that Sakanade's power will reverse his direction. When that occurs, he'll be ready to attack. Suddenly reaching Sakanade, Storm throws a hard right hook, but completely misses as he finds himself punching in the wrong direction. Your brain can't keep up with the complexity of my abilities, Sakanade laughs. Even if you think you've figured out the basis of my power, your brain isn't designed in a way to be able to process the information needed to counter me. Storm holds a hand out, electrical energy sparkling from his fingertips. I have a hunch. Sakanade continues to laugh. Then by all means take your best shot. Storm quickly turns his hand against himself, flooding his chest with electricity. Sakanade is stunned, unable to react in time as the younger fighter rushes in to end their short battle. King Cobra explodes from the wall between them, grabbing Storm by the head and hurling him through the opposite wall. You oaf, Sakanade growls, trying to calm herself. Took you long enough. Apologies, King Cobra says. I thought you might want to kill him yourself. Sakanade shrugs. I'm not at all sentimental like that, as long as the job is completed. Storm struggles to his feet, severely injured. 2 armed men quickly train their handguns on the teen. Don't move, Agent Orlandi shouts. Not sure how much I actually can, Storm coughs, blood staining his teeth red. Who are you? You aren't more of the doctor's security, are you? We're with the PIA. We're here to bring down the doctor and bring him to justice. Storm tries to painfully smile. Guess we're on the same side of this. Those 2 out there in the hall are mercenaries. Currently work for the doctor as security operatives. They're beyond bad news. Enhanced with the GX parasite. You won't stand a chance against their abilities. Agent Vosk chuckles. We'll be just fine, kid. We've taken down plenty of other monsters before. The two agents step into the hall to face Sakanade and King Cobra. "Who the hell are you?" King Cobra asks. "They aren't enhanced at all," Sakanade laughs. "Neither has a parasite or Sakari blood in them, from what I can tell." "A couple of normies," King Cobra laughs, shaking his head. "Someone thinks an awful lot of themselves." "Kanzen Simon," Sakanade whispers. Agent Orlandi turns her gun on Agent Vosk. "What the hell are you doing?" Agent Vosk shouts. "I can't help it," Orlandi says, frightened. "It's like I have no control over my hands." Coercion gets all of the love for her ability, but my hypnosis is just as powerful, Sakanade complains. She nods towards Orlandi, ordering her to fire. Vosk shuts his eyes as the shot rings out, knowing his life has come to an end. He's surprised he's conscious the entire time and feels no pain. Slowly, he opens his eyes to realize he's still alive. The wall beside his head is splintered. Orlandi shakes, dropping her gun as sparkles of electricity crackle against her body. "You son of a bitch," Sakanade growls, glaring at Storm as he stands in the hole in the wall, one hand outstretched. Sakanade's silent voice enters Storm's mind, trying to control his senses. To her aggravation, he maintains a constant flow of electricity through his brain to keep her from manipulating him. "You think that little trick can stop me?" Sakanade shouts angrily. Scales materialize on the woman's cheeks and arms as her parasite activates in full force. "No one's mind is strong enough to resist my complete hypnosis, not even Deborah Rude. Kanzen Simon Etota." Agent Orlandi pivots, shooting Sakanade in the back. The woman is shocked, turning in surprise, her mouth hanging open. "You?" she coughs. "A nobody like you?" Sakanade collapses to the floor, motionless. "You're gonna pay for that," King Cobra screams. Storm hits the reptilian fighter with a bolt of electrical energy. "Get the civilians out of the building, I'll handle him." Agent Vosk nods, and he and Orlandi help the other teenagers to the stairwell. Out of nowhere, King Cobra tackles Storm with tremendous force. He feels as though he's been thrown from a window and then run over by a big-rig truck. Coughing, Storm tries to extract himself from several inches of stone and plaster. King Cobra strikes him across the face with his tail. Vision blurred, Storm staggers while still trying to keep his opponent at a distance. He manages to dodge the next strike, but takes a knee to the ribs while moving. The teen rolls across the floor, and King Cobra charges in for another attack, when he is sent crashing through the wall by a hard kick. "Thanks," Storm coughs. Flex helps him to his feet. "I didn't find anything on the other floors. Brian isn't here. I did find Peril, but he insisted he didn't want my help." Storm chuckles, wincing in pain. "I'm not nearly as full of pride. I appreciate the assist." Flex nods. "I think they must have taken Brian someplace else already." King Cobra extracts himself from the wall. "I heard you switch sides. The doctor should never have saved you." Flex ignores him, used to the anger expressed by the GX-enhanced fighters towards so-called traitors like herself and Storm. "We can take him on together," she says. "He isn't a big enough deal that a 2-on-1 can't handle." King Cobra tries for the first strike, but the two fighters dart to opposite sides of the hall, both delivering swift kicks to the midsection. He pivots, attempting to slap Flex with his tail, but Storm releases electrical energy into his back. King Cobra stumbles and is caught by a hard right hook by Flex. As King Cobra is staggered, Storm thrusts a knee into the center of his back. As the fighter is rocked forward, Flex in turn leaps up with a kick to the face. Each time King Cobra tries to attack one of them, the other opponent is able to instead connect with a counter. "Damn you!" King Cobra growls, blood hanging from his lips in long strings as he wipes them away with the back of his hand. "Neither of you is strong enough to overwhelm me alone." "Unlike you, we work well together," Storm says. "Ha!" King Cobra laughs. "How can you form any kind of trust with someone who switched allegiances so many times?" "I used to bring her coffee," Storm says with a smile. "We have an understanding." Flex laughs, having forgotten Storm was previously known to her only as Rick, the personal assistant. She finds it crazy how much different things have gotten since then. Instead of being a part of a renowned science team, she's infected with an alien parasite and fights to bring down her former employer's company and all its illicit criminal cohorts. Flex activates her parasite to its maximum, gaining the common reptilian secondary traits, as well as enhanced strength, speed, and agility. King Cobra senses Flex upping the ante, and mutates as well. Storm hesitates, knowing his stamina is not yet fully recovered just yet. King Cobra and Flex collide, furiously trading blows. Reptilian claws slash at each other as the two battle across the hall. The building is not designed for such a ruckus, and the two fighters bring entire sections of the ceiling down around them upon each collision. King Cobra attempts to wrap his tail around Flex's throat, but her body rearranges so that his tail becomes grasped in her hand. Flex pulls hard, jerking King Cobra into a left hook that knocks one of the mutant's fangs loose in a misting of dark blood. Still gripping King Cobra's tail, Flex pulls again punching the mutant. King Cobra finally breaks free of her grip and pivots, attempting a throat-level slash. Flex leans back to dodge, kicking her opponent in the chest with both feet. Wow, at full power, she's actually a step ahead of him, Storm thinks in surprise. For someone with no combat training, the parasite has really taken to her. After another volley of dodging and countering, Flex drops King Cobra to his knees with a devastating roundhouse kick to the head. The mutant's vision blurs and he sways, barely conscious. Flex grabs King Cobra by the hood with both hands and pulls him down into a knee to the face. King Cobra collapses out cold. The fighter's body loses its transformed state. Peril is pushed back on the defensive, relying solely on its natural conditioning and reflexes for evasion, while his parasite is silenced. While Whisper isn't among the strongest of the GX fighters, her enhancements make her a considerable threat to even skilled warriors with no such hacks. Fully transformed, with reptilian traits, Whisper is able to gain a distinct advantage over the younger fighter. His back against a wall, Peril is unable to dodge the next attack in time, struck by a combo of claw slashes, before Whisper grabs him by the throat and hurls him through a window into the observation room. Peril moans, trying to crawl away across the broken glass. "Without your powers, you're nothing," Whisper taunts. Peril grabs a shard of glass, but Whisper steps on his hand. Kids should be more careful not to touch sharp things. Shouting from deeper in the room catches Whisper's attention. "Hey, is someone there? Help! We're being held here against our will." Peril quickly slashes a shard of glass across Whisper's ankle with his other hand, severing her Achilles tendon. "You little bastard!" Whisper growls, stumbling as she loses large amounts of blood rapidly. Without a regenerative ability, she is forced to retreat in order to find bandages. Peril slowly stands and limps into the back to find the remaining two captive teenagers. "Not him," Peril groans, walking away. "You can't just leave us here, kid." Peril ignores their pleas, returning to the hall to find Storm and Flex. They hear the two teens shouting from inside of the observation room. "What's going on in there?" Did you find survivors? Experimentation, Peril says. It's not the virtual. I already checked. So? We can't just leave them here, Storm argues. Peril shrugs, heading for the exit stairs. Do what you want. I still have to find the virtual and Bulldog. Neither of them are here. Storm and Flex free the teens and rejoin the PIA agents outside. Is the kid with you? Vosk asks. Storm nods. He didn't give you any trouble, did he? Just a lot of lip, Orlandi replies. He headed northwest. He said he can sense other GX-enhanced warriors gathering in that direction. Thanks, Storm says. I guess we had better go that way as well. We'll report everything that went down here to our superiors, Orlandi says. Hopefully, we'll be able to lend a hand when you're able to locate the doctor. I hope so too, Storm says. I have a feeling we're going to need all the help we can get. Claire's screams become silent for the time being as the teen's throat has grown raw and bleeding. Candy Stripe can no longer look on, stepping aside and out of view of the girl. What is wrong? The doctor asks. Candy Stripe is uncomfortable, finding it difficult to express how she feels. She does not want him to think she's weak, but this is all too much for her to handle. This is torture. Why can't they just kill her and be done with it? The doctor's eyes narrow in confusion. Why the compassion? You have done far worse to people in the past. I've never killed children. That girl's no older than 15 or 16. This seems excessive. She is the closest blood relative to that vessel chosen for Hui. Regardless of age, she must be sacrificed to successfully bond spirit and body. Candy Stripe looks away from him in shame. I get that, but why is she being brutalized? There's a difference between killing and abusing. Do you feel a connection to this girl stemming from your own past abuse? Is this sudden empathy arising from a shared emotional pain? It isn't like that, she whispers. If they attempt to abuse her sexually, we shall intervene. Is that satisfactory? She looks up, surprised by his response. You would risk making enemies of them for me? I'm simply present out of curiosity, not any loyalty. I can learn as much from Hui's corpse as from his active cooperation. I just don't get it. That's his sister, she says, bothered by her thoughts. How can he do this to his own sibling? Blood connections mean nothing to some people. Do you mean to tell me that if your father or an uncle were here, you would not do the same to them? It is obvious that Craig cares only about increasing his own station in life and acquiring more power. If he must sacrifice his sister for that, then so be it. To him it makes no difference. Craig and his acolytes walk away for a moment to investigate strange sounds coming from one of the tunnels. At this opportunity, Claire slowly opens her bruised eyes. Please, she says, her voice hoarse and weak. Please help me. Katrina, the girl Candy Stripe once was, feels a pull at her heart. She actually wants to free the teenager and slaughter everyone who hurt her. Only allegiance to the doctor and respect for his wishes hold her back from any action. Save your strength, dear, the doctor says. Stop trying so hard to cling to this world. The sooner that you accept this fate and make your peace with it, this will all be over. Candy Stripe's memories return to her being abused by her father, her brother, several of their drunken friends. As a teen, she remembers being raped and beaten before being left for dead in an alley. Her anger rising, Candy Stripe finds that her fists are clenched so tightly that her fingernails have cut into her palms. Blood drips steadily to the floor of the tunnel. "They're coming!" An acolyte shouts in alarm. The remaining Sakati assassins run down the tunnels to meet the threat and prevent any interruptions to the ceremony. "The barrier I erected will keep them out," Craig says. "They cannot reach us." "They have been testing your defenses for hours. If they are attacking now, they surely have discovered a weakness. These are not mindless animals," the doctor says. "You must remember that revenants were once mortals, similar to us in life. Truly fascinating creatures. I would love to catch one for study and learn how it is they are able to mutate into these terrifying predatory creatures after they are left trapped in the abyss for so long, hunting each other." Men scream in agony from the tunnels, and several inhuman howls echo outward. Gunshots ring out, then more screams. The whitecoats look to the doctor for instruction, but he shakes his head. "Damn those creatures!" Craig screams. "We must hurry this ceremony along." He withdraws his dagger, cutting shallow wounds in Claire's thighs to draw blood into an ornate, golden bowl. Nearing the light of the candles of Hui's altar, Jake leaps side to side to avoid the spidery appendages of the attacking revenants. Two assassins open fire with semi-automatic rifles, but the bullets have little effect on the creatures. A revenant attacks from behind, impaling one of the assassins to the chest and dragging him off into the darkness, still screaming. Jake rolls underneath a claw swipe and kicks out against the nearest leg, sending the revenant off balance. Black energy flashes around the teen's fist as he delivers a hard shot to the exposed underside of the creature. The revenant howls in pain as its exoskeleton is split open. Dodging bullets, Jake sprints through the tunnel. He will not allow anything to stand in his way. Reaching the nearest Sakati, Jake punches him in the throat and strips the gun away before kicking him in the chest and pivoting to bring the rifle against the jaw of a second assassin. A revenant drops down from the ceiling atop them, and only Jake is able to dodge. "Interesting," the doctor says, seeing Jake. "That boy has made his way through those creatures. He's both skillful and determined." Candy Stripe shudders at the sight of Jake, recalling the time she was attacked by Yamura. "We should leave," Candy Stripe warns, sensing Jake's approach. "He's gotten past all of their defenses." Overhearing them, Craig speaks up. "The barrier we have designed to keep those monsters out of the sanctuary will also prevent him from reaching us. No threat to our safety is permitted to gain entrance to the sanctuary." Jake ducks beneath a clawed leg as a revenant takes a swipe at him. The light from the tunnel ahead catches on the creature's carapace, and the teen is briefly able to glimpse its grotesque form. Leaping backwards, Jake bats at the spidery legs as they stab at him one after another. A Sakati mercenary is caught between Jake and the creature and screams as multi-jointed legs pierce through his back and out of his chest. A second revenant, this one less arachnid, more mammalian in appearance, like a possum with an exposed skull, 2 extra front legs, and a body the size of a black bear, tries to slip around behind the teen and bite Jake's torso in half with jaws much too large for its body. Sensing the second creature's movement, Jake pivots and uses the revenant's forehead as a springboard into a front flip. Jake lands on the arachnid revenant's back and drives his right fist down through the creature's hard flesh. The revenant howls in pain and lashes out, striking the second creature in the side with a spidery leg. The mammalian revenant shrieks and snaps in retaliation, taking a large bite out of the side and removing one of its many legs. As the two monsters begin to fight, Jake jumps down and attempts to sneak down the tunnel unnoticed. But 2 more revenants appear from the shadows to block his path forward. Screaming in frustration, Jake throws his hands out and releases a pulse of energy that frightens the creatures and causes them to skitter away in fear. The respite lasts only a moment, and the revenants return and in greater numbers. "I won't stop!" Jake screams, firing again to clear his path and run forward several more steps. The arachnid revenant attacks from behind, burying a leg through Jake's right shoulder and out near his armpit. The teen shouts out in pain but turns, and manages to bring his other arm down across the revenant's simple arthropod tarsal joint and sever the appendage. Blood staining his teeth and breathing heavily, Jake pulls the spidery leg free from his shoulder and holds his other hand to the wound tightly. The revenant circles awkwardly, off balance, and down another leg. Jake does his best not to turn his back to the creature, and moves further down the tunnel as the other revenants continue to circle him with caution. "We are getting nowhere," Yamura says as Jake dodges a revenant's leg and immediately counters with a fist straight to one of the appendage's joints. The leg breaks at the joint, and the creature rears back and howls in pain. "I'm not stopping," Jake shouts, focused only on saving Claire and nothing else. "If you cannot be deterred, then we must go about this with more tact. You are being reckless and taking far too much damage. Give me control, and I will clear these beasts from our path forward." In a flash of black light, Yamura is given control of Jake's body, and the Sakari flares out the black flame aura, completely obliterating the nearest revenants. Yamura turns and sprints down the corridor, but is stopped by an invisible barrier. Upon slamming into the barrier, Yamura is shocked out of control by magical forces. Jake shakes off the shock quickly and leaps back to his feet. Screaming, the teen begins to pound his fists against the invisible wall. "Claire!" Jake screams, hitting the barrier again and again until his knuckles begin to bleed. Hearing him, Claire's pleas become more frantic. "I'm here! Jake! I'm chained up! They're going to kill me!" "Hold on!" Jake screams, tears in his eyes. "I'm going to get to you somehow!" Candy Stripe backs away, distraught. As much as she hates Yamura, hearing the two teenagers in grief causes great conflict in her heart. "This is wrong," she whispers. "This is all wrong." Screaming, Jake's fist crashes through the barrier and shatters it like a pane of glass. Craig's eyes widen in terror, and he pushes several acolytes forwards towards the commotion. "Do whatever it takes to stop him," Craig screams. "I must finish the ritual." Two acolytes rush Jake, but he brings each down with brutal precision. The first, the teen sidesteps and drives a knee into his gut, followed by an elbow to the back of the head. Jake pivots, hooking the side of the second acolyte's head with a spinning heel kick. Hatred burns in the teen's eyes, and he does not concern himself with any restraint or mercy. Another acolyte attacks, but Jake catches his fist and drops his other elbow down across the man's arm to break his bones. Pivoting, Jake hurls the screaming man down the tunnel, where he is caught in the air by a hungry revenant. "Use magic, damn it!" Craig screams, anointing his face and chest with the blood of his sibling. The doctor gathers his people and ushers them down a side tunnel. "I wish you the best of luck, but this is not our fight, and I do not desire to be caught up in it." "Cowards!" Craig screams. "When Lord Hui dwells within me, I will hunt you down and make you suffer." The doctor, flanked by Candy Stripe and his whitecoats, nods. "If you get that opportunity, I shall welcome your attempt." Jake locks an acolyte in a headlock, twisting with a growl of fury that nearly tears the man's head off before tossing the corpse aside. The barrier down, the revenants are free to enter the sanctuary and feast upon the screaming followers of Hui. "Claire," Jake whispers in horror, seeing the girl hanging from chains, beaten and bloodied. "I knew that you'd come," she coughs, trying to smile. A Sakati returns from the tunnel, having survived the revenants. Covered in blood, the man shakily raises his rifle and shoots Jake in the back. The teen collapses, falling hard to his face. A pool of blood swells out around his motionless body, breathing a sigh of relief. Craig returns to the complex ritual necessary to complete the ancient spell that will transfer Hui's wayward spirit into his own body. Any lapse in concentration would alter the spell and cause his own life to be taken, or for Hui's spirit to become lost in the void between worlds for all eternity. Jake stirs, lifting his head with difficulty. He reaches out, arms shaking and fighting to stay conscious. "Claire!" Tears stream down the girl's cheeks as she accepts that not only is her fate to be killed, but Jake too will die because of her brother. Had Jake never met her, Claire believes that he would not have had to die. She curses her own existence, futilely praying that she had never been born. "Your great savior has failed," Craig boasts. He carves a complex spell array into his chest with a ceremonial knife. With the prospect of soon gaining Hui's power, pain no longer registers in Craig's mind. "Brother, it's not too late to stop this," Claire cries. "There's nothing that you can say that will deter me from my destiny," Craig says. "Something as insignificant as family is nothing in comparison to the power I will soon possess." "Yamura?" Jake's voice is weak, and the spreading darkness is like an ocean seeking to drown him beneath its wake. "We're dying," Yamura whispers. "I cannot take control in this state. Your body is too weakened. The shock of shifting could kill us instantly." Jake recalls the last time he nearly died after being shot, and how the experience barred their transformation for hours. "I don't like being shot," Jake whispers, trying not to die from the shock before bleeding out. "You will have to use Seal Asalair to save us," Imra says. "Isn't that ability tied to your power? How can I use your Sakari energy?" "The line separating us is weak now that we are so close to expiring from this world. You should be able to use whatever remaining energy I have to at least stave off our death for a few minutes. Past that, I'm at a loss." Imra finds that it's becoming difficult to think. "You must hurry, our time is short." The Sakari that shot him puts a foot on Jake's wound, causing the teen to scream out in agony. "This'll be the best kill on my resume," the assassin brags. "Not everyone can claim to have killed a legendary Sakari elite." "Seeing that boy die shall bring me no satisfaction," Hui's voice echoes from the altar. "I do not know him, for it was because of Yamura that I became imprisoned. No, I must kill him with my own hands. That is the only way our story can come to its conclusion." Holding the knife against Claire's throat, Craig finds that he is near the final phase of the transference ritual. "With the blood of life I bind my spirit to yours. I offer unto you my sister, the closest bond in life that I have. I offer her life to you as a tribute, to pay the toll for you to cross over into our world. I break my closest bond in order to forge an even greater bond with you, my lord." "Don't," Jake pleads. The teen's color is drained, and he's barely clinging to his own life. "Shut up," the assassin growls, pressing down harder on the teen's back. "All you can do now is watch as your bitch girlfriend is bled out like a pig." "Please, brother," Claire begs. "There must be a part of you in there that still remembers our love. You're my brother. You've always looked out for me. You've always loved me, just as I've always loved you. Please, Craig, you have to stop this. The love that we once had for each other was necessary for this ritual to work." Craig whispers, tears in his eyes. Had our love not been real, I would have failed. I'll never forget you, dear sister. Your sacrifice will ensure my ascendance into godhood." "Don't!" Jake screams, fighting to move against a body that's already begun to shut down. Before anyone can respond, Craig drags his knife across Claire's throat. The girl's eyes bulge as blood gushes forth from the wound. Unable to breathe, it becomes a race to see if bleeding to death or asphyxiation will be Claire's end. Collecting the precious fluid in his bowl, Craig outlines the still bleeding array carved into his chest with the blood of his dying sister. Jake is unable to form words, powerless to stop his friend's murder. The teen's flesh grows ghostly pale, and her head falls forward, lifelessly. With a scream that tears free from his throat, so unnaturally as that of a despairing rabbit or deer, Jake's pain cannot be contained. Black flames erupt from Jake's body and instantly disintegrate the Sakati assassin. The gunshot wound boils as molten lead rises to the surface and oozes down the teen's back in a silver stream. Jake's hair catches fire and burns with a supernatural black flame. Fire leaks from the teen's eyes and spills from his mouth as he's utterly consumed by the flames. Hurriedly, Craig sets the bowl of Claire's blood upon the altar and submerges the pendant containing Hui's spirit into the dark liquid. Chanting the remainder of his spell, Craig places the pendant against his chest at the center of the carved spell array. Energy explodes around Craig, enveloping him in Sakari power as Hui's essence is slowly transferred. He's surprised by the intense pain and drops to his knees in agony. Craig is terrified that his spell has somehow failed, and that he too is about to die. "Jake," Yumura says, his voice muffled and distant, as if a vast gulf now separates them. "Your body cannot sustain burning through that much energy all at once. You must get a hold of yourself, or we will die for sure this time." The teenager does not respond, blinded by his grief and rage. All of the seal acellar markings stored by Imra become visible on Jake's skin, each dissolving into the flames one after the other. The image of Claire's throat being slit replays over and over again in his mind on a loop. He remembers the kiss on the cheek, and Claire leaning her head on him for comfort. Any tears that Jake sheds are burned away instantly by the otherworldly heat. His screams are high-pitched and full of pain. They echo throughout the tunnels like a dying animal whose vocal cords were never meant to produce such a sound. "I failed," Jake thinks, his world collapsing in upon itself. "Just like Mom. I couldn't save her. I couldn't save either of them." Every life that Jake has taken, either by his hands or Yumura's, flashes before him. The teen relives. Each painful death in a void grows in his center. Again and again, Anne Stewart plunges the blade of wind into her own gut, ending her mortal journey. Each street criminal, assassin, police officer, or civilian who has had the unfortunate luck of crossing paths with Jake and Yumura returns to haunt the grieving teen and further thin his weakening hold on sanity. "Jake, you must gain control of your emotions," Yumura begs. "We can do nothing to help her now. She's already gone." Energy lashes at Yumura's spirit, punishing him like the whip of a taskmaster. The Sakari recoils from the attack, unable to retaliate. Without being able to wrest control from Jake as the teen uses their weakened division to draw from both of their energies, Yumura has become helpless. "What did I do wrong?" Craig cries, clawing painfully his chest as it burns hotly. Tears of blood stream down the young man's cheeks. Flames pulsate from the pendant containing Hui's spirit, blackening Craig's flesh. Ghostly howls echo from the tunnels as cold winds wrap around the living. Claire's blood begins to boil within the golden bowl and shakes on the altar until the entire thing splits down the center. The revenants retreat in fear, sensing a foul presence in the air, more frightening than themselves. "I gave you the most precious thing in my life," Craig cries out. "Why have you forsaken me?" Inhuman markings appear on Craig's skin, decorating his flesh with the magic of the Yazata. Based on the angelic language, the Sakari's own writing system and spells were based. Craig feels fire spreading throughout his veins, and he screams in agony, flames vomiting from his mouth. He falls to his face, repeatedly dashing it against the ground to sate the pain. "Stand," a voice commands him. Craig is suddenly unable to hit his head upon the floor any longer. All control of the young man's motor functions have been taken away from him. Craig stands, feeling a sudden intoxication and disorientation. The intense pain is now distant, as if buried by many numbing agents. He can still feel the sensations, but is able to look past them, as if they were some ache from long ago. "Our spirits are now joined," Hui says. "Your flesh is now my flesh. Your blood is now my blood." Relief washes over Craig. "At last, everything I've done was for you, my lord. Grant me your power. Together, we will rule this world as a god." Hui begins to laugh, testing his new body. Flexing the muscles in his hands, he's amazed. The ritual actually worked. "You have succeeded where many who followed me had failed. You alone have managed to draw my spirit from that wretched prison and into the world of the living. For that, you have my eternal gratitude. This world now belongs to you. I will be blessed to stand atop it all. No one can ever stand in our way. This is my destiny, the greatness that I've long dreamed of." "I have no interest in this world," Hui replies dismissively. "I am a warrior and a conqueror. There is no allure to me sitting upon a throne. After Yamura and the humans are conquered, I shall move on to find another world." Craig is taken aback, having been led astray by the Sakari's past promises. "What do you intend to do to this world if not rule it?" "I will destroy all of humanity and allow for the glorious expansion of Averno. I will restore our two worlds to resonance and bring forth my people to take hold of what is rightfully ours. But first, I must settle a score from long ago." He looks over at the still screaming Jake, who is fully engulfed in the black flame. "I sacrificed my only sister to you, and now you say that you have no intention to rule? You promised me the power of a god." Hui suppresses Craig's consciousness, forcing him into the deepest recesses of his mind. "And I would have told you 1,000 more lies to be free of that prison. You chose to murder your sister, not me. No one forced your hand. You cannot blame me for the evil that dwells within your own twisted human heart. Had Cruzon not been killed, you would have only been a temporary vessel until I could have arranged a family for him. It was always my intention to bless my most loyal warrior with those bonds of family, and cast aside for the ritual not you. You are far too weak and trusting to ever serve as my permanent host." "Damn you!" Craig screams as his voice fades into a whisper. His spirit becomes too weak to remain manifested, and he fades into full dormancy. Hui stares at his hands, clutching and releasing his fist several times. This is the first time that he's ever been in a body other than his own, and the sensation is disorienting. His human host is much less dense, and his muscles and conditioning are barely average. He's disappointed that the true physical specimen groomed for his revival was killed in battle with Ymura. Cruzon had proved himself strong, loyal, and intelligent, but in the end, not even he could overcome Ymura. Nearby, Jake continues to scream in anguish as he relives the horrors of the past year. He's witnessed so much death and suffering, yet still has not become immune to their effects. Every life stolen before him haunts the teen, tormenting his fragile conscience. Red sparks dance off Jake's body, crackling and hissing like electrical serpents. The ground sinks beneath him, swelling out around his immense energy. The powerful output is intense, and Hui is forced to take several steps backward. How is this possible? Hui wonders in disbelief. I have gained countless strength through the devotion of my acolytes. So why does Ymura's power surpass my own? In Jake's mind, his spirit stands before two doors, amidst a vast black void. The memory of Claire stands between the doors, crying. Shaking in uncontrollable rage, Jake has difficulty even looking at the girl, and the emotions that she stirs. Jake, please calm your anger, Claire whispers. Hui must pay, he growls. Craig must pay. Your anger will destroy you if you do not contain it. Already now, the fires of your rage seek to consume you. You aren't really Claire. She died because I was too weak to save her. Claire shakes her head. That isn't true. No decisions made by you led to her death. You did all you could do to save her, but the evil within some people cannot be controlled. If you had never met Claire, she would have suffered this exact same fate. If I'd been strong enough to kill Hui's priest earlier, we would have been able to escape together. This door is your current path, Claire says, pointing to the door to the left. Behind this door lies only pain and suffering. Revenge will never bring any kind of happiness or satisfaction. If you choose this path, you'll suffer forever. She points to her right. Behind this door is a future, where you honor the memories of those you've lost and carry on, using your pain to strengthen both your will and your resolve. I have to kill Hui and Craig, Jake says, balling his fists tightly. I have to make them pay for the evil they've done. Revenge is a thirst that can never be quenched. Even if you succeed and they're dead, you'll still feel the same emptiness. Your time to grieve is now. Mourn the loss of your friend and move forward. Every time I lose someone, I just move forward, Jake growls. If I keep forward on this course, more people I care about will continue to die. I'm tired of losing the people closest to me. Jake walks towards the door to the left of the memory of Claire. I don't care if my anger consumes me until there's nothing left. Not so long as I get the opportunity to share my rage with Hui. If there's any justice in the universe, the flames will consume us both. Claire's image fades as Jake passes through the door. The door itself disappears, and Jake knows that there's no going back. So long as Hui and Craig still live, there can be no thoughts of changing course. All that matters to Jake now is revenge.